I'm Gabrielle, 38. The sirens sliced through the ocean breeze like a blade, their wail growing louder with each passing second. My heart pounded in my throat, a wild drumbeat that matched the chaos erupting inside my villa. I stood in the hallway, my phone clutched tightly in my hand, a lifeline in this storm of madness. Just minutes ago, I had been trapped in my study, the heavy oak door a flimsy barrier against the invaders who had taken over my home. 15 of them, uninvited and unwelcome, had forced their way in, turning my sanctuary into a frat house. The sound of glass shattering and laughter had echoed through the halls, a mockery of the peace I had finally achieved. I remembered the framed photo on my desk, our parents smiling on the porch of our childhood home. They had raised us with values of hard work, kindness, and respect, but my sister, Vivienne, had long forgotten those lessons. She had always been the one who took without asking, the one who made me feel guilty for saying no. But this time, things were different. As I stared at the phone in my hand, I knew what I had to do. I took a deep breath, my fingers trembling as I dialed 911. "What's your emergency?" The operator's voice was calm, professional, a stark contrast to the chaos raging inside me. "There are people in my home who refuse to leave, about 15 of them. They forced their way in. I need help," I said, my voice trembling but firm. "Ma'am, are you in immediate physical danger?" the operator asked. "Not yet," I whispered, glancing at the door as shadows passed under the crack. "But they won't leave. I told them multiple times. They're ignoring me. Can you confirm this is your residence?" "Yes," I said firmly. "I purchased the property last month. I have the deed here. My name is Gabrielle. Officers are being dispatched to your location. Stay in a secure room until they arrive. Estimated arrival time is 15 minutes. 15 minutes. It felt like an eternity. I could hear Vivienne's voice outside the door, her words dripping with false sweetness. "Come on, sis. Open up. We're family. Let's talk like adults." But I knew better. I had tried reason, I had tried standing firm, but she had never listened. She had always gotten her way, and I had always given in. But not this time. I leaned against the desk, my eyes fixed on the clock. Each second ticked by like a lifetime, the silence broken only by the faint sound of waves outside. As I waited, my mind drifted back to the day I had bought this villa. It had been my dream for as long as I could remember, a place where I could finally escape the chaos of my life and find peace. I had worked double shifts as an engineer, skipped vacations, and lived frugally while others splurged. All for this moment. But Vivienne had decided it was hers, too. She had called me out of the blue, her voice brimming with entitlement. "We're on our way to you. There will be 15 of us. Prepare beds, towels, slippers, food. We'll be staying for 3 weeks. We'll be there in 40 minutes, so hurry up." I had stared at the phone in disbelief, my heart racing. 15 people, 3 weeks. My sanctuary, my lifelong reward, was about to be turned into her personal resort. But instead of panicking, I felt a strange calm spread through me. I remembered the crystal wine glass I had unpacked earlier, the sunlight striking it and scattering tiny rainbows across the marble countertop. Fragile, beautiful, but resilient if held the right way. I picked it up and whispered to myself, "This time things will be different." As I stood in the hallway, waiting for the police to arrive, I could hear the voices outside growing frantic. They knew the police were coming, and they were starting to panic. "Becky, you're making a big mistake," Vivienne hissed through the door. "One you'll regret." But I didn't care. I was done letting her define me, done letting her take advantage of me. This house was mine, and I was going to protect it. Finally, the heavy pounding on the front door signaled the arrival of the police. I unlocked my study door and stepped into the hallway, my phone still clutched in my hand. Vivienne was at the foyer, plastering on her sweetest smile as she pulled the door open. "Officers, thank goodness you're here," she cooed, her tone dripping with false innocence. "My sister's having a bit of an episode. We were just trying to spend some time together, and she—" "Ma'am." The officer's voice cut her off, firm and unimpressed. "Are you the homeowner who made the call?" I stepped forward, my knees trembling, but my voice steady. Yes, Gabrielle. This is my property. They entered without permission and refused to leave when I asked. The older officer nodded. Do you have proof of ownership? I opened the folder I had prepared and handed over the deed. My fingers no longer shook. They felt steady for the first time all day. Vivienne laughed lightly, trying to wave it off. This is a family matter, officers. She's just overreacting. We drove hours to get here, and she invited us. I never invited you, I snapped, my voice ringing louder than I expected. You demanded, you barged in. You've destroyed my home. The younger officer scanned the room, her eyes lingering on the half-empty beer cans, the piles of luggage, and the muddy footprints streaking across my pristine floor. Her jaw tightened. Sir, the older officer said to me, do you want these individuals removed from your property? Yes, I said clearly, my voice unwavering. Every single one of them. Gasps rippled through the group. Vivienne's smile faltered. Gabrielle, don't do this, she hissed. Think about what you're saying. We're family. Family doesn't force their way into someone's home, I said coldly. The officer turned back to Vivienne and her crowd. You have 15 minutes to gather your belongings and vacate. If you're still here after that, you'll be arrested for trespassing. The room exploded with protests. Some of Vivienne's friends cursed under their breath as they started stuffing clothes back into suitcases. Others shot me dirty looks as though I were the villain. Vivienne herself stood frozen, her fists clenched, her face a mask of fury barely concealed beneath a trembling smile. You'll regret this, she whispered, leaning close as she dragged her suitcase toward the door. You think you've won, but this isn't over. But I didn't flinch. For the first time in years, I felt taller than her, stronger, untouchable. As the last of them shuffled out under the officer's watchful eyes, silence began to creep back into my villa. The door closed behind them, the sound echoing through the empty halls. I leaned against the foyer wall, exhaling deeply. My hands were still trembling, not from fear this time, but from release. The police had done their job. Vivienne and her entourage were gone. I walked through the villa slowly, almost like an investigator surveying a crime scene. Beer bottles littered the counter, towels were abandoned on the floor, and fingerprints smudged the glass doors to the balcony. In my bedroom, my bedspread was wrinkled from the suitcase Vivienne had so boldly thrown there. A pair of shoes I didn't recognize sat carelessly by the window. I picked them up and tossed them outside. As I straightened the blankets on my bed, I caught sight of the ocean through the balcony doors. The sun was dipping lower, painting the water in shades of orange and pink. For a moment, I just stood there, my chest rising and falling with something between exhaustion and relief. They were gone. Vivienne's voice still echoed in my head, though. You'll regret this. You'll lose us. You'll be alone in this big, empty house. The words twisted in my chest, pressing on old wounds. But then another thought followed, clear and steady. I'd rather be alone than used. I poured myself a glass of wine and carried it to the balcony. The salty breeze brushed my skin, cool and soothing. I sank into a chair, finally letting the weight slip from my shoulders. For years, I had been the sister who said yes, the one who sacrificed, the one who swallowed anger for the sake of peace. Today, for the first time, I had said no, and I hadn't crumbled. My phone buzzed on the table beside me. Dozens of missed calls and texts from Vivienne lit up the screen. I didn't bother opening them. Instead, I turned the phone over, face down. Tonight wasn't about her.
Tonight was about me.
I raised my glass toward the ocean, the horizon glowing gold, as if the universe itself was toasting with me. To peace, I thought. To freedom, to finally drawing the line. As the last rays of sun slipped beneath the horizon, I felt something I hadn't in years.
Hope.